Hello and welcome to the Bestseller Experiment Live. Hello and welcome to the Bestseller Experiment Live. We are still alive. Yes, we are.
Barely.
I'm just going to mute myself here because I can hear myself.
Oh yeah, I had that earlier. That's fun. That's always a great thing when you can hear yourself. Yeah. Totally weird you out. Totally
So, Mark,
weird you out.
how's the last couple of hours been for you?
It's been weird in London. There has been, as you know, we're on the edge of this hurricane Ophelia, and London, the sky turned red, the sun turned a blood red. Okay, and it's like we're all living in Blade Runner. It is the strangest thing ever. I went out, as you can see, I've changed. I went to buy some new T-shirts so I smell less like a hobo. I was looking up, and it's just bizarre. And the moon is red as well now. So, and it's just the strangest. London is a very, very strange place at the moment. Very strange place. But I've got a massive headache. No pills. So yeah, I'm great. And everyone here has gone home as well. Everyone here at Orion is gone, basically. I don't know if you can see that.
You're doing the late shift. I know, it's funny. And if anyone was listening to the last live stream, I said that I was going to go and get a couple of hours kip because I'd been up pretty much the whole night. I had about 2 hours kip. I went back to bed at about 6 a.m. or I can't even remember what it was now, Canada time. And I just lay there and my head was buzzing so much. You know, have you ever been in that situation where you're desperately trying to get some sleep and your adrenaline's like surging and pumping through your body? And then in the end, I just thought, oh, sod this.
Yeah. Well, I remember, I started getting emails for you, and I thought he was having a kip. But no, yeah. Anyway, we've got people on the live chat saying hello. We've got Belle. Wee, so much excitement. Yes, Belle, we're very excited. Julie, lovely to see you. And Batjutsu, hello to you. And David Hogman, hello. David, you're in Yorkshire. Is the sky red in Yorkshire as well, or is it just London?
We want to know. Yeah. Has anyone got any apocalyptic sky? Do you know, I actually coach a guy who lives about 15 miles from the fires in San Francisco.
California.
Unbelievable. And he said it's like an apocalypse. So I am very grateful that the internet is working and that we were able to come to you on this very special day. So let's do a quick update. If this is your first live chat today, we've basically we have hit #1 in one of the charts on Amazon. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's pop culture and music. We are top of the pops.
Top of the pops. We flew over Phil Collins' head, and and he wasn't too happy about that. In fact, it's funny because Phil Collins is one of my musical icons. It was my very first gig that I ever went to as a kid. I was 15 years old.
Well, that says everything about you, doesn't it?
I know. Well, you have a slightly difference of a musical taste. I love Genesis, and I saw them at Wembley Stadium. Paul Young was supporting them. That dates me, and it was the best gig of my life. And in our book is very much about our kind of life and musical experiences, and to actually be jumping over my icon's head, I think is quite apt today. But you've had a couple of icons.
Phil Collins gets a mention in the book, actually.
He does, actually. You're absolutely right. I didn't realize. Yes.
Yeah. Phil Collins gets a mention. No Genesis, no Carly Simon, who was also
Robert Plant was #4 in that chart we're in, and he gets a rather large mention.
Very big mention. First couple of chapters.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but Mark, tell everyone as well, you've kind of hit a boyhood dream as well, because you've been sandwiched. The book's been sandwiched between. And we need to put a request out because we really need to kind of hop over the guy that's stopping us getting to #1 in that chart. Tell everyone what's happened.
Yeah, that Mr. Neil Gaiman, I believe you're talking about.
It is indeed. And Mr. Terry Pratchett.
Mr. Terry Pratchett. Yeah, well, we're stuck between two legends here. So if we go to fantasy and humorous, still the same thing. So Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett is #1. We're #2, and then Terry Pratchett's The Colour of Magic. It's just unreal.
It is quite unreal.
Actually, can I do that share your screen thing from here?
Are you sure you want to do that? Who knows what you've been looking up on the internet, Mark?
That's
you've
true.
been waiting for me to go. Well, whilst you do that, I'm just going to say hello to everyone else who's joined us. Roseberry 100, thank you very much for your kind wishes. And Tanya, Gaiman Shaman, you can do it, guys. Yeah, thank you very much. Tanya's been absolutely brilliant. And in fact, all the names that we're seeing, we've seen throughout the year, whether it's in our launch team, whether it's people who've been tweeting with us, whether it's people who've been on Facebook with us. We say this time and time again, but this journey has been made real because of you.
Yeah,
and
totally.
What's really, oh, there you go.
Can you see it? Can you see it? It pops up when I speak. There we are. There we are. Good Omens, Back to Reality, Colour of Magic. And actually below us is Welcome to Night Vale, which is a really popular podcast. So, you know, for what it's worth, there we are. And then,
look on the new releases. Now go back to that screen a minute, because on the right-hand side of Amazon.
Yeah, new releases over there. So yeah, because we've made a bit of an impact. That's so cool. So yeah, if we go on our page here and we scroll down and look at these reviews, which are giving me all the feels. But if we go to pop culture music, there we are. There's us, there's Carly Simon and Phil Collins. There we go. I'm a bigger fan of Carly Simon than I am Phil Collins.
I love them all. And they're very welcome to share their company.
Look, poor old Art Garfunkel down there, wondering where he's gone wrong.
Really weird, Mark. I just
Jimmy Page.
Jimmy Page. Yeah, I know. I just had a very weird thought. Having just hit #1 in music on the, and sorry, this is just a little bit of a music moment for me, and I shouldn't be even really saying this, but I've had this experience in music where I've hit #1 in the electronic music charts on Amazon, and now #1 in the book charts.
Yeah.
That's kind of like randomly bizarre. I never thought, actually, when we were back in the early days of trying to work out what on earth we were going to write about in this book, I would never have thought 52 weeks later that we would have actually charted in the music category on Amazon. But I guess our love of music's come through. And I mean, that really is a massive common theme, isn't it, in the book?
Absolutely. Jimmy Page. Now, Jimmy Page used to go to my kids' old school, Pound Lane School in Epsom, as it was known then, as Jimmy Page. Do you remember Page Motors in Epsom? That was his dad's.
I do.
Yeah,
that was Jimmy Page's. You're joking.
Yeah, I kid you not.
Dad was a second-hand car salesman.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to turn off
freaking me out. You don't know on me flicking on your screen. So let's have a look at who's joined us since. Gavin.
How do I turn that off?
I don't know. They're going to see me twice.
There we go.
He's back. This is the cow crash we always talked about, right? The book's doing great.
Cow crash. What's a cow crash?
I don't know. Car crash or chart crash. So hello to Gavin Smith. Gavin, you said you told on Twitter that a dream coach is like the night bus in Harry Potter. Is this correct?
Gavin's
brilliant, Gavin. And actually, that's my favourite character in the whole Harry Potter thing, the bus driver dude hanging from a thread.
Gavin left us a very honest review on Amazon as well. It's very entertaining to read. He starts with, well, first the bad stuff. I think Gavin's annoyed because he's got a book out this week. I'm going to give Gavin's book a plug, actually. Let me find it, because it's called, let me just.
While you're finding that, I'm also going to say hi to Thieving Birds, who says, congratulations, fellas. So happy for you. Thank you for the wonderful book. Well, thank you for your wonderful comments. David Hogburn, I just bought the book as Jack too, but Amazon would not let me review it as he has not made enough purchases from the store. What's all that about? How many purchases do you have to make a review?
That's interesting. That's to stop people just jumping in and buying. So it's
some paper clips or something.
Yeah. Get some
10 lots of paper clips.
I'm trying to think of something really inappropriate.
No, we're live, Mark. We're live. We don't have the edit button.
Gavin Smith's book, The Bastard Legion, back one. Now, Gavin, it does fantastic military science fiction. He's really, really good at this stuff. And his book has been out on Kindle, I think, since January, but it's just come out in paperback as well. It's that thing where the Gallants did it as a Kindle first of all, and now it's a paperback. So it's available on both Kindle and paperback. It's only $2.99 in Kindle. And if you love big military science fiction, you're going to love this. It's epic stuff. So go get it. Thank you.
Actually, just don't sell more than us, Gavin, after that big plug, eh?
Yeah, buy it tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, just wait until Tuesday. No, go for it. Hey, we can share the love, absolutely. Darren's talking of love. Darren Love's just come on the chat. By the way, when I read the book, I couldn't stop thinking as one of the characters, I'm not going to mention who, as Bob Hoskins.
Yes. Yeah. Funny enough, that's what I said the other day. We were casting a movie. I would love to go back in time and cast the late, great Bob Hoskins. I was in a Bob Hoskins play once, I did, because he wrote plays. I did work with a company called Unity Theatre in Camden. And he had written a play called All for the Nation, which was a kind of a Frankenstein parody about this government agency that was taking dead homeless people and piecing them back together to make workers. And it was a satirical play, as you can imagine. And he had written it. And the best review I got was from, I think, the Morning Star, or was it the Ham and High, where it said, and it was a three-hander, and it said the two leads seemed to be partaking in a Bob Hoskins impersonation competition.
Oh, that's brilliant. In fact, one thing we have done, which was really good fun, I recommend this to everyone who's writing a book, is at some point just write down your characters, all the characters, the main characters in the book, and then write who you would love to star in the movie playing those characters. Mark and I have been doing that and kind of have been like batting backwards and forwards, and it's really interesting how it's developed. I mean, it would be a cast of the most incredible Hollywood actors to play this movie. One of the things we are getting, which is really interesting, is a lot of reviews are saying that they think the book would make a really good film. And obviously with your background, Mark, that's something that kind of excited me right now. I don't know why. It's like, oh, we've done the book, what's next, right? But anyway, Josh is part of our launch team, and Josh has just come online to tell us that he's just updated what we call the Chartling Watch. This is the Game of Thrones play where we've got people signed up to through the night. It's amazing. We've had these people like every hour logging onto this spreadsheet to put in our latest chart positions. I mean, how vain is this? I mean, really. But anyway, we have to capture it because we're so
it's
busy.
all part of the experiment. I wouldn't do this normally if it was just, you know.
There are no egos involved whatsoever here, right, Mark? This is purely experimental. But Josh has just told us that we are still #1 in the US. No, this is interesting. #3 in Canada. We've been creeping up in Australia. We're about to break into the top 10 in Australia and Co-UK. Now, the very first Co-UK I saw at the beginning of the launch, we're at number 498, and it's been creeping up.
Yeah, we're number 15 in literary humour, which is a joke in itself, literary, which is terrific. We're in the top 20 in humour. We're number 18 in humour. I mean, it makes us really, really visible. So hopefully that'll get us some more sales as we go on and on.
Now we have very important question from Sam Howe. Thanks for coming on the show, Sam. Sam has said, Mark's Day, how many T-shirts have you got through today?
This is just my second. I went into Next and I had a 3 for 2 offer on. So I got, I think it's a grey one and a blue one. I'm fresh as a daisy at the moment.
For those on audio, Mark just shoved his nose up his armpit. I've got to say, I didn't see Mark's very first video at 10 a.m. UK time. That was just a little bit too early for me. But I went back and watched it after our second video. This is the third of 4 that we're doing today. And I've got to say, if you haven't seen it, you have to go back and watch it because he does something very terrible to a caterpillar cake. I was quite shocked. So.
It's a ritual we have in the UK. The caterpillar cake is, a national treasure, and it's written in, the Magna Carta and the Doomsday Book that the one who bites the face off a Colin the caterpillar cake is blessed with good luck for the rest of the day. So check that out. It's a bit messy, but it's certainly paid off dividends as far as
it does. And I think it's worth seeing it just for that moment where Mark realizes that his mouth is stuffed full of caterpillar cake, but realizes he's actually presenting the show and can't speak. In fact, it reminds me of a children's fete once where there was a competition. And you basically had 1 minute to eat as many Jacob's cream crackers. Now, if you do not know what these things are, if you're in America, or maybe you do, I mean, we can get them here in Canada. But if you've ever tried to eat a Jacob's cream cracker with no water, after about the first one, you cannot swallow it. Well, that was Mark, and I was just peeing myself laughing.
Well, for a moment, I was Bruce Bogtrotter from Matilda. and I loved it.
So we have more questions. Oh my gosh, there's so many things coming through. Thieving Birds season 2, how to launch a blockbuster film, suggestion from Thieving Birds. Very interesting idea. Gavin Smith, surely season 2 has to be the Man Booker experiment.
Yeah, because we're going to win the Booker Prize, aren't we? Yeah, of course.
Well, where do you go from here, Mark? I mean, you're rubbing shoulders with Neil Gaiman. What next?
Well, we'll see.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant. Now, before we crack on, before we forget, we have, for anyone that joined us in the last live show, we have a brand new competition to do right now for everyone on the live show. But Mark, you're going to announce the winner of our previous competition. I'll show everyone what it was. Have you got it to hand?
Are you saying this because you know full well that I can't pronounce his name?
Yes.
This is a sadly not a running gag, but this is.
I've got to say, we do randomly pick these, but it just so happened that the person we picked has a slightly more complicated surname than me. And when I saw it, I laughed. I thought, oh, Mark's going to love me for this.
Well, congratulations, Richie Yanikowicz. Is that it? Is that it?
Sounds good to me.
Good.
Richie will tell us. Richie, give him a score out of 10 for how well he pronounced your surname.
Richie, drop us a line at bestsellerexperiment@gmail.com with your address, and we'll pop a copy of the signed in Rankin Rather Be the Devil to you today. So
hardback signed first edition. What a fantastic price. But if you didn't win, we have another competition we're going to announce now. Now, it's very important when Mark asks a question, do not write it in the live chat for everyone to see, because then everyone will know the answer, because everyone can see that. But Mark's going to ask you a question from the book. And what we're going to do is later on in this show, it's a bit like radio, we're going to actually announce to put your answer in the box, and the first person to put it in the box wins the book. Keep things simple. So Mark, do you want to show people what we've got for them?
This is absolutely gorgeous. You may remember our wonderful guest, Laura Barnett, came on the show a few months ago, and we've got hardcover. And again, let me check that first edition. Yes, first edition, signed by Laura. It's quite a small signature there, actually smaller than her name on the title page, but she has signed it. Signed first edition of The Versions of Us, which is a magnificent read. Absolutely wonderful book. So, to be in with a chance of getting a copy of this, very simple question, okay? In our book, what's the title of the prologue? It says prologue, :
Now don't put the answer in the chat window. Do not email us. Write it down somewhere on your hand or whatever. And when we give the word, and remind us if we forget as well, because who knows what's going to happen. But no, towards the end of the show, we will ask for the answer. The first person typing in it will get that book. Fantastic. Exciting is this. Welcome to a couple of other people that have joined us. Avril Silk. Hi, Avril. Thanks so much for coming on. Does the page read count work on the beta copy? If not, we need the alpha version. I don't think it does. I think you have to buy. Now, actually, there's a really important thing. If you were given a beta copy, and thank you so much if you were, the new version on Amazon is different, because what we've added, apart from getting rid of hopefully all the typos, we have added an amazing glossary that Mark actually tell people how that came about, Mark, this kind of new glossary that we added.
Well, one of the things we discovered with the beta readers was there are all sorts of British terms and terminology and slang that people didn't quite understand, and I didn't want to cut them from the book because some of them were kind of essential to character and gave it a bit of color. So there were things like some Cockney rhyming slang that Laurie uses, things like Nando's. Now, Nando's is a worldwide brand. It started in South Africa, but there's only 40 restaurants in the United States. Now, America, if you've not been to a Nando's, you've not lived.
You've not lived.
So frankly, I explain what that is, and the phrase, going for a cheeky Nando's. So if you come to London, you'll know what to ask for. Just put that in. I just put that in the back. And the beta version, had all sorts of little errors in it, which our beta team found and ironed out for us. And the finished book is a gleaming chrome machine. It's in very, very good condition, I think. So, and we got some nice little touches in there too. So it's, and today it's 99p only. Tomorrow, who knows? We were saying it should be £52 tomorrow, didn't we?
We think £52 of the podcast. Yeah, exactly. That might pay the rent for the next 2 days. But the other thing to mention is we've also added, and this is very important, when you get to the end of the book, there is a special link to something called the missing chapters. Now, you can't actually download it yet. The link's not live. Honestly, we've had so much, but give us a day to get it live. But you will soon be able to download, probably put your email address in, and you'll get the missing chapters in possibly, I think, maybe a week or two, Mark. But it actually relates to a question that we've just been asked by, where is it now? Oh goodness, so many questions coming in. Portaloo Sunset. There was a chapter called, Gavin Smith said, what happened to Portaloo Sunset? Which
we do have an answer for that, because someone who works for the Portaloo company got in touch and said they're quite litigious. So if you start putting Portaloos, which is a trade brand name, in your book, and people are having a bad time, they will come after you. So Mr. D came up with the excellent Turdis as an alternative. Actually, it's one of the funniest gags in the book.
It was actually my 13-year-old son, to give him credit.
Oh, so, genius! Right, okay. I knew that was too good for you.
I know, exactly. If you want the best thing, go ask a teenager, or it's brilliant. So
Real Men Change Diapers, which is a brilliant name, and they certainly do. I change diapers. Terry's nappy diapers as well. None of the redisposable ones. These were the, Anyway, how are the sales in the Middle East? I just purchased it from Israel. Now I don't know. Where would they register? Would they be on .com?
That's amazing, though. Thank you so much for buying our book in Israel. I didn't even know it was available there. Do let us know where you got it from. Which Amazon site? Was it an Israeli Amazon site? But I've been blown away by how many different Amazon sites there are. But thank you for buying the book. We'll have to check and see if we're racing up the Israeli charts. I mean, this can you just get your head around this for a minute, Mark? 20 years ago, this was not possible. Well, maybe 30 years ago was not possible. Today, we pressed the button and we launched our book worldwide within seconds. And now people in Israel are buying our book. I mean, we sometimes get so...
Right. He says it's from Amazon.com. Cool. Okay. Well, that will register on the .com store, I guess.
Yes, it will.
Ed Fortune says hello. I want to say hello back to Ed. I like Ed very much. He gave Robot Overlords a very, very nice review back in the day. So I love Ed.
Thank you, Ed. Very much appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here. Tanya Scott says, I love the Turdis. If none of this is making sense to you, if you've not read the book,
then read the book.
Then read the book. It's quite simple. We're talking in code here, but the Turdis is quite... It's probably one of my favorite parts in the whole book. And yes, we had to tone down a bit of the humor because the toilet humor was getting a bit too much. But that particular scene, I still laugh when I read it back. And we're allowed to do that because we co-wrote it, so I'm not bigging up my own work. So, Mark, let's talk a bit about the reviews that we've seen coming in. Now, we had a target of getting 100 reviews within the first 24 hours. It was a very ambitious target. I wonder if we might get close by the end of the day. I mean, we've already had 27 reviews in
it's UK. 28 in the UK.
28 in the UK.
14 in the States, 5 in Canada, and 2 in Australia.
So if you're listening and you haven't reviewed the book yet and you've read it, please help out. Already we're absolutely blown away by what we've got already. I mean, to get that many reviews on day one.
I mean, some of them are just nail it brilliantly. I just love the way people come at their own way. The people really relate to Joe and Johanna. They all say it's fast paced. A lot of people saying it's funny and daft, and they love the characters. They say it's really pacey. I mean, it's Gavin's review says it does read a lot like a screenplay, in that it's pacey, and it's that hero's journey. But that's where we were coming from in terms of writing that story. I mean, you can see our working in it, I guess, but that's that we're not. What we wanted to write was something that was fun and page turning, and people would really enjoy it and would leave them with a smile on their face. And I think that's mission accomplished by looking at these reviews.
I think so. For me, the most nerve-wracking moment, more nerve-wracking than doing all these podcasts and meeting people like Bryan Cranston on the podcast, I think the more nerve-wracking moment for me was that moment of pressing the button and it going live, and then that wait between it going live and the first review and reading what people were saying and just not sure. You just don't know. I mean, we can live in our own bubble, but until the book's out there, that's the true test. I am completely, and I said this on the Facebook page, Bestseller Experiment on Facebook. I was almost tearing up reading some of the reviews. It was kind of almost too overwhelming to take in because I think when you've worked on something and it's been such a huge part of your life for the last year, that kind of release, I use this analogy, which is a bit random, but it reminded me of giving birth. Not that I've given birth, but I have been present for my children's birth.
Don't dig a hole.
No. And I'm not going to start talking about placenta or anything like that. But the thing, it's that moment where it's such a huge build-up, and honestly, the kind of pains of going through the pregnancy and not being able to sleep well towards the end, and then to hold that baby in your arms and look at it was that kind of feeling when I started reading some of these reviews. And I want to shout out one in particular, and I can't find the actual name of the person who did it, but you know who you are. And this really touched me. She said, "I'm only one chapter into the book, and I'm already tearing up because I see Joe in myself."
Oh yes, this was a musician, wasn't it?
It was a musician, and to read that was so heartwarming, because we had this discussion, didn't we? I said to Mark, there's going to be a lot of people that read this book who are going to think about dreams that they've had in their lives, which maybe they never pushed to do, or their opportunity came and went, or in the case of mothers, they had to sacrifice their own kind of passions and dreams because they were bringing up children. And to hear that somebody was touched in that way means so much to us, because there is that emotional connection in the book. We're trying to make it real for people, to be associated. So whatever your dream is in life, when you read this book, we're hoping that it inspires you.
Yeah.
And
I found it's from JB, just the initials JB. "I'm a late starter to my musical career, and this book is touching some of the deep places in my heart. I'm only into the first chapter, and it already brings tears to some of the similarities to my story." Wow. So
that's huge. That, folks, that quote for me sums up why writers do what they do. I still feel, I look at this from a bird's eye view, but when you touch people in a way, and the thing is that they're the people that are writing the reviews, but all the books, every author who's listening to this, we just don't know just all of the stories of how our books may have touched people, how it might have changed their life, how it might have changed a decision that they made in their life, which changed their life forever. That's a really powerful legacy that you create as a writer. And I just say to everyone who's thinking of writing a book or is pushing their book like we are today, just keep going for it, because you are making a difference in the world. It's incredible.
Roseberry 100 says, I'm just about to write my review. Thank you, Roseberry. Josh Atkinson, our friend Josh, who did a newsletter plugging us today. So thank you very much for that, Josh. He said, "I suck at writing reviews." I don't care, Josh. Just the words awesome and 5 stars. What's the review? We're not supposed to do that, are we? Write whatever you want. But, Tiny,
honest review.
Yeah. Tiny Scott says, "A big part of your life, I've listened to over 40 hours of podcasts. I could have written another book." Yeah, you and me both, Tanya.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the ironies, isn't it? We keep saying this, but the podcast probably took up 3 or 4 times more time than actually writing this book, which is why it took us a year to get it out there.
Yeah.
But no, it's incredible. Avril says, "The emotions you've been feeling comes about because you've been so inclusive and warm in sharing this project." Oh, that's really sweet.
Thank you, Avril.
I think a lot of what we've been trying to do here is just kind of be open about the whole process, because we realize it's an emotional journey for everyone as a writer. And really that's been the kind of aim of this. And we're just so grateful for you guys being on the road with us.
I mean, it is I did have, because after we finished our last session, I did go outside, and of course the apocalypse was happening in the sky. But it was weird just walking around thinking that something we've been working towards for over a year has happened. It is here. I mean, you talked about the giving birth analogy. I've been drafting a blog about this, which I'll probably put out later this week. I called it the death of a goldfish, right? Because it is a bit like losing a loved one, not a proper loved one, not someone, but like a beloved pet. Yeah. Because I've been feeding this thing every single day for the last year, and I'm no longer going to get to play with those characters or to go into those situations, and I'm going to miss them. I am going to miss them. Not enough to write a sequel. But I am going to miss.
You're writing yourself into a sequel right there, Mr. Stay. You wait, watch everyone start.
Been told, okay. But yeah, it is a shame. But we move on. I've started feeding another goldfish. All right, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a brilliant. It's a brilliant analogy. Actually, it's a brilliant analogy. But Jutsu, who's also written, thank you for all of your blog posts. By the way, everyone who's written blog posts about this, again, incredible spreading the word. In fact, today we've had quite a few people who've said that they've actually promoted our book on their author email list, which I just think is incredible.
Amazing.
To do that for us is just fantastic. And again, it goes back to this incredible supportive community that you said, Mark, time and time again. And we've experienced on such a huge level. Reach out to your fellow authors. Everyone is incredibly supportive, and it is like one big family. It doesn't feel like there's competition within the author space like there are in lots of other industries. It feels like everyone's there to support each other. So my recommendation to anyone is like build a team of authors around you. And also I've got to say, the people that have read our book up front, a lot of them are authors, and their reviews are incredible because they're such good writers. Yeah. So, again, another huge bonus.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm seeing lots more people joining this live podcast. This is quite fun, isn't it, Mark? Well, I mean, we've been used to doing this.
Welcome.
Yeah, we've been doing this kind of without video for quite some time. But I must say, after our technical nightmares of Facebook Live, which we were going to originally do it on, which wouldn't work, this is actually doing all right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, the reason we haven't done videos is because you just couldn't afford my hair and makeup demands. But we came to a compromise in that, and I bought some T-shirts, and I no longer smell. So I think we're fine. We should maybe do this more often. I did. I mean, the Facebook Live. It's a shame you can only do one person at a time. Dave was working on some top secret technology that would have got us both live, but it just didn't really work, which is why we made the switch to YouTube. But yeah, this is cool.
And what's useful about, so as an author, writer, or actually anyone promoting anything really on the internet, we found Google Hangouts, which is what we're doing this on, is really brilliant. If you record this on Google Live and link it to Google Hangouts, what happens is your video gets recorded. And then what we're going to be doing with this is taking, so if you listen to this on audio, like on the podcast, for example, in the future, and you actually want to see the video of it, we can just basically take the video and embed it on our Facebook page. We can embed it on our website, bestsellerexperiment.com. And it's also kept up on the YouTube channel automatically as well. So this is a great tool for communicating.
David Hogman said, it would have worked if you both had Macs.
Oh,
yes, you're right. You're absolutely right, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Guess who's the Mac user between me and Mr. Stay?
Yeah.
Honestly, but yes, you're probably right there, David. Actually. But we have to get the book as a bestseller so I can afford to buy a Mac and replace the PC. So excellent stuff. But if you haven't reviewed the book already, please do get along to the Amazon site of your choice. It does make a difference. One thing we're going to put out there as a question actually on Facebook, and maybe if you know this, how much do you think reviews actually do weight the Amazon algorithm? Like, we know there's this algorithm which gives your book more exposure, which is really, I think, the most key thing, regardless of, how much you spend on Facebook ads or anything else. Has anyone worked out how much a review gives in terms of weight? It'd be interesting to find out.
I mean, it's one of these things, Amazon will never reveal it. I think, and they're always tinkering behind the scenes too. But I think this is why the verified review thing is so important, because that adds a lot more credibility. I think all these things add to visibility. Hopefully, the Amazon algorithms are working overtime, saying, "Hey, this has sold. It's got some good reviews. It's got some verified reviews." And then what happens, hopefully, is you start getting that flywheel effect where Amazon starts promoting you. And making you more visible. So the next few days are going to be really interesting to see where we go. If we see a spike, we will be, like I say, we will be putting the price up. It won't be £52.
It'll be 51.50, won't it?
48, yeah. So So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the next few days pan out. If
I must say, I've got this impending sense of doom. This is Mark the optimist speaking here, but I do have this impending sense of doom that we get this incredible spike on day one, and then we just disappear off planet Earth on day two.
Well, yeah.
But I think I do realize, and I do think we've got it's crazy in some ways to say this, but we do have a long road ahead of us. Joanna Penn, her episode is polling very highly, by the way, in our top 10 episodes of the year. If you haven't voted yet, get along to the Bestseller Experiment website, go to the blog and search for vote or poll, and you'll find a list of all the episodes. But Joanna said that, you know, it's not all about day one, and it isn't. I mean, it's fantastic to be able to go out the gates with a huge bang like this, but I think we're realistic enough to know that the marketing journey really has only just started. That is in some ways quite daunting, because this is where I guess there's two sticking games in writing. There's the getting through the hard bit of the novel to finish it, and then there's that second push after the initial buzz of launching the book where you got to push through, market every day. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, and keep pushing. More people are joining us. Rebecca Powell, hi there, congratulations. Hello, Rebecca. Rebecca, another regular tweeter and Facebooker for us. And Paul, is that P-O-U-L? Is that Paul Benson? Hello, Paul, congrats. It says our rankings for the first day for the first book are amazing. Thank you, Paul. And that's all thanks to you guys for buying the book and reviewing it. It's just completely bowled us over. If you've just joined us, I've got a massive headache. Mr. Desvaux hasn't slept in about 36 hours. We're about to, self-destruct and go crumbling. But we are buoyed by your enthusiasm. So thank you, folks.
And for our latecomers, do you want to just announce the competition again, Mark, and tell them what the question is? So we have a first edition.
First edition of the versions of us signed by the wonderful Laura Barnett. And this is a gorgeous book. Look, if you're going to do a book, you want end papers like that. This doesn't come with every book, and it's on boards, which is just gorgeous. It's a first edition, and she signed it there. So the question that we're asking,
but don't put the answer in. Don't put the answer in the chat.
Don't put the answer in the chat.
We're going to announce when to put the answer in. The first person to answer correctly will win it, but not now. Not now.
Right. Very simple question. What's the title of the prologue of our book? So I'll say prologue, : let us know. And you could win this. Wonderful.
Fantastic. Hey, maybe one day, Mark, there'll be a hardback of Back to Reality to sign and give away.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's that's might be the next stage of the journey. I think we could, be looking at talking to major publishers. That would be amazing. I think if they got behind it, I suspect they probably want to go straight into paperback. But one thing publishers do is sometimes they'll produce a hardcover edition for the libraries, because libraries usually only take hardcovers. So
do you know, there's two things I've always dreamt of. The first thing as a musician was to write a score, piece of music, and sit in an auditorium and hear a full orchestra play that piece of music. That would be incredible. And the other weird one is to walk into a library and see a hardback copy of a book that I've written on the shelf. I think that would be incredible. But then you'd start to wonder, actually, is that because no one's taken it out? So it might be a double-edged sword.
I mean, the library thing is amazing, because we've recently moved out to Kent, and when we were looking around, we were in Whitstable, and Whitstable Library was open, and my wife Claire's written these children's books, gardening children's books for very young children. And she said, "Oh, do you think they'll have it?" And I said to her, "Oh, you're only setting yourself up for a disappointment. It won't be in there." Well, they had 2 out of the 3. Did they have robot overlords? No. So it is an amazing moment, seeing the look on her face when she saw the book in the library. And she's had feedback online from people who got it in. And if you have your book in a library, make sure you register for the what's it called, the ALCS, which is the library thing, where you get a few pennies in the UK for each time your book is taken out of a library. And I can tell you, even my book, it paid for a nice meal out with the family. It's
wow. Yeah. Well, I read once, I don't know if you've seen these things, Mark, a children's book, Daisy Meadows, the kids' books about fairies and elves. And apparently these were the most loaned books in the British libraries in a year, and they had over 1 million loans, or was it 1 million? I think it generated over £1 million in library revenue because of the amount of, I mean, they have a series of about like 3 million of the books. But
Julie's just corrected me. That's PLR, and I think it's the public lending right. But to collect that money, I would recommend registering with the ALCS, which is the Authors Licensing and Collecting Society, and they make sure you get the money. But
now that's in the UK. So if anyone knows if there's anything similar in say Australia, US, and Canada, please put it in the chat, because I'm sure our listeners would like to hear about that.
Thank you for that, Julie.
Absolutely. That's great. That's great.
This is great. They don't have this on the podcast. On the podcast, we just get stuff wrong and then have to remember to make a correction in the next episode. Whereas now our listeners are going, no, Mark, no, I think you'll find it's actually this. Oh, thank you very much.
It's like we've got our very own band of editors running alongside us, and it's fantastic. We love it. Julie's actually just said, I'm with ALCS too, but payments come from PLR. I haven't had anything from ALCS as yet. This is all jargon to me. Just like, I'm sure it makes sense. Absolutely. But no, it's great. I think there's a really good opportunity with libraries. And actually, libraries, you can't underestimate the value of them, because I think I've taken a book out of a library. I've actually I like to take a book out of a library in non-fiction. If I like it, I go and buy it. Because I was finding I was buying too many non-fiction books and they were just stacking up on my shelf. So it's a way, if you've got a series going, it's a way of introducing yourself to new readers.
I'm very pro-library.
I love libraries.
I have huge memories, very happy memories of going to the library in Leatherhead in Surrey when I was a kid. We used to go there every single week and come back with an armful of books. Libraries aren't just about books, they're about community. It's a place where anyone can get books for free. I love doing library events and doing talks at libraries. And it's a great community hub, and they are, I think, the sign of a good civilization, So to see libraries closing down is very sad, and I think we should do everything we can to keep them open.
No, absolutely. Right, Julie, it's great to see you.
Party political broadcast, but
yeah, exactly. No, I think libraries are just the best. Absolutely. So Avril Silk says, so will you hit the literary festival circuit? It would be a gas.
Well, it's huge, because we'd need a paperback first, so we need to sort that out, which is something we're mulling over. But yeah, it's the literary festivals have sort of taken over the in-store signing events, because the risk with having one author in store, which is, you might have a queue of 3 people and a dog and nothing happens. Whereas literary festivals are just a huge magnet, because you've got wonderful authors all over the place. And if you've gone to see author X, you might also see author Y and end up buying their book. I'm at Gallants Fest in a few weeks. I think Gavin's going to be there as well. Gallants Fest is just fantastic. It's almost completely sold out. So if you're in London, and it's November the 4th, 5th, and 6th, I think. I'm doing that off the top of my head. Let me just check my calendar. No, it's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So Saturday the 4th, Sunday the 5th at Foyles in London. I'll be there. I think Gavin's going to be there as well. It's huge fun. You'll see some amazing authors.
Now, Josh has asked a really important question. He says, can't you get a paperback from CreateSpace? And that's a really important question. Now, we looked at CreateSpace, and then we discovered there's something else now on Amazon called KDP paperback or something like that. And it's that's in beta or beta, and it's very confusing. We were going to go with CreateSpace. We wanted to have a paperback for day one, but we have a bigger idea, which we're not going to reveal just yet. So we decided not to go with the CreateSpace. What we have done, though, which again, another tip, on our page, if you want to buy the book, go to bestsellerexperiment.com/back to reality. And what we've done there is, under the buy button, it says, don't have a Kindle, prefer the paperback, and we've created a page at the bottom, a form at the bottom of that page, where if you really want the paperback, you can put your name down on a list, and you'll be the first to be told when it's available. So if you're an author, do that as well if you're doing ebooks, because if you obviously get enough people who order it, it becomes more like a kind of Kickstarter, where you can kind of batch order, say 1,000 copies and get those sent out. So yeah, pop along to bestsellerexperiment.com/back to reality, and you can see how we've done it, and feel free to just copy what we've done, because it is working. We've had quite a few people sign up today to say, I don't have a Kindle, I want it in paperback. Except a lot of people, I'm surprised how many people don't know this, and it's probably because I didn't get a Kindle before I had an iPad or a phone, but there is a Kindle app you can download, folks. You can get it on Android and iTunes. I love reading books on my iPad. If you don't have a Kindle, you can have the Kindle app, which is just as good on your iPad. So just go along, type in Kindle app in Google. You can download that, and then you can go buy the book. So you don't have to wait for the paperback. But if you prefer a paperback, then let us know, and we'll keep you informed.
Yeah, we've got people online. So we've got Tiny Scott. Create Space is good if you're only selling the odd paperback. I mean, it's interesting. We did some digging because Create Space seems to be on the way out, and Amazon seem to prefer KDP. But there are pros and cons. I think, for example, at KDP, you can't print copies in Canada for some reason. So that's no good to you, Mr. D.
Well, that's the thing. The minute I saw they don't do it in Canada, I thought, oh, come on. It feels like they were the Welsh of the UK in Canada. It's this little country, population-wise, it doesn't. It's like the postal service here. It can take weeks to get anything from Amazon in Canada. You just don't know how lucky you are in the US and in the UK. I think they must stick it on a bike and pedal it across from Saskatchewan or something. But yeah,
surely they've got drones now. You know, they should send drones out to people like you who live in the middle of nowhere.
Well, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, it's something we are looking at. I think because, like you, Mark, I've emailed pretty much everyone on my mailing list today, and I've had a few people come back saying, "Oh, I'll wait for the paperback. Thank you very much." You know, so I think I've let them know about that option.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a tricky one. I'd love to be able to. I mean, the other thing with print on demand is they're quite expensive as well. They can't compete with the kind of paperbacks you get, but they are good quality. I've bought a couple myself, and they are pretty good. They're getting better at it too, compared to the sort of print on demand Amazon was doing a few years ago. It's much improved. The colors are great. The binding is better. So yeah.
And I've got to say, I am still a massive book fan. I mean, I have a little library in the house, and I love to just sit in there and pick a book up and read. I mean, I love my Kindle as well. I'm one of these, I guess I'm a kind of a hybrid, old school, new school, but I love both. I love the ease of a Kindle. Taking it on holidays, fantastic. So you have to I'm the guy. Okay, I want to ask a question. Is anyone listening here, are they like me? And they basically take they don't know what to bring on holiday with them, so they bring everything, and they end up like reading one of 10 books. That's where my Kindle comes into play, because I can just bring the Kindle loaded with books. But I do like both still, and I must say I am really looking forward to kind of holding our book in my hands and smelling that paper, that smell of fresh.
People are coming up with sequel ideas. Avril says one day he could write Ellie's story, and Gavin Smith says Ellie joins a death metal band and accidentally summons the devil. Okay, now I'm interested, Gavin.
Oh, keep talking, keep talking. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, who's your favorite? Tell us who your favorite character is in the book, because it's kind of funny. We had this situation where Mark and I both had different favorite characters, and I think we started, and now this is an interesting co-writing thing. We also discovered at one point during the process that we were writing the same character, but we had kind of almost different voices. I was thinking, no, that person wouldn't say that. And Mark was, no, absolutely they would. And so one of the joys of co-writing is you have to kind of find this common ground and try to work out what the voice and the picture of the characters in your head compared to your co-writers, because otherwise it can get written in two different ways. But Julie says her favorite character was
David says the cow.
David says the cow. The cow is just one of those moments, Mark and I, now that we were doing a Skype session, and I remember it very specifically. We just fell in love with this cow. I don't know why. It just made us laugh. And then we had this idea. I'm not going to say what happens, but there is a funny bit with a cow in the book. And in fact, a lot of people said it's their favorite book in the book, which is really funny. But I remember when Mark and I were just brainstorming ideas about this cow, and I can't remember who said it, but one of us chucked out this idea, and we just went, oh yes. And we were giggling like little kids, actually very much like us on the podcast. And it was great. So I'm glad you like the cow. Absolutely.
Excellent. And Gavin is available as a story consultant for a reasonable fee. Yeah, I bet you are.
Excellent stuff. So, Mark, I think it's time to ask the question again. The competition, this is it, write it in. What are the words that follow the prologue? You're going to win a book. So we're going to wait now. Let's have a little drum roll. Who's going to be first? Because there's about a 10-second delay on this video. Oh, anyone done it? What is the name of the prologue? Darren Love.
Darren Love.
Congratulations, nice. Darren. I drove all night. Oh, sorry, Julie and Alex, you're just in behind. Darren, congratulations. This is a really cruel way of doing a competition now because we're seeing all the other people that are just behind. But Darren, pop us your address, please. bestsellerexperiment@gmail.com is the email. Please, if you're not Darren, don't email with your address. I just suddenly thought this could really backfire. Yeah, so I'm. We didn't really through, but no, Darren, please email that so we can get it. And Josh, that's very gracious of you to congratulate Darren. We will, however, be having more competitions coming up. We've got Shannon Mayer coming on the show for all you people in North America and you Nighthawks in Europe. We're doing another show, the fourth and final show of this launch day. Yes. We'll basically have done around 4 hours of podcasting, including all the ones we did last week.
No, but Jitsu says, with sequel ideas again. So borrowing from Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, Joe goes to hell to rescue Ellie from her death metal pact. Now, for legal and copyright reasons, I just want to point out that the thing I'm writing next on my own owes quite a debt to Swamp Thing. So I do love the Alan Moore Swamp Thing series, and I think it's one of the most wonderfully tragic characters in comic book fiction. So the thing I'm writing has a big dollop of Swamp Thing in there. So yeah, thanks for that. Just to say, just don't come back in 2 years and say you got the idea from me. No, I stole it from Alan Moore.
excellent stuff. So later on, we are going to be speaking with Shannon May. Now, just to put this into perspective, folks, if you have heard Shannon on the podcast, we had her on 3 times. She was that good. But she was on quite early on in our 52-week journey. Since then, she has continued to go from strength to strength. I think she's surpassed well over 2 million book sales now as a indie author running her own business. This is, living the dream beyond dreams. I think she's somewhere in the top 5 to 10 the biggest selling indie authors in the world right now. She knows her stuff. If you haven't heard Shannon, do come to the podcast. It's going to be on at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. That's dinner time in Pacific. So if you're on LA, California, Vancouver, and if you are a Nighthawk, 2 a.m. in the morning. If you miss it, however, it will be streamed from our website, bestsellerexperiment.com tomorrow, and also on the Facebook page as well, which is facebook.com/bestseller.
Sorry.
Experiment?
Yeah. Back to reality. Bestsellerexperiment.com.
No.
Sorry, we're losing it, aren't we? Gavin's come up with another great sequel idea. The devil has given the cow sentience and it's bent on revenge against Federica.
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Oh my goodness. How about a sequel to the podcast, The Blockbuster Experiment? Stop it, guys.
Harmonies now.
Mark knows this, that you should never stick an idea in my head, because this is how this whole podcast started. You get this crazy idea, and then before you know it, a year later, you've had no sleep. You've got
you're refreshing your KDP sales every 30 seconds.
You get an RSI in your wrist, refresh button, and you're staring at a #1 bestseller on Amazon, which honestly, I should just want to say this again. If we haven't said this enough, thank you everyone for buying the book. Yes. Thank you to all our advanced readers that gave us massive amounts of feedback. The joke was we had a document where our advanced readers were putting their comments and typos, and that almost got as big as our outline. There's a joke in the podcast, if you haven't heard, that we wrote a 50,000 word outline. I think was it at 20,000 words? Or was that? It was, wasn't it? 20,000 words just for the feedback we got, which is a novella. Mr. Aronovich, if you're listening, is a novella in itself. So the word count went through the roof. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to our launch team. Thank you to everyone who's, we're going to be talking a bit more about the launch team, because they've taught us so much. And I think every writer needs a launch team. That's my new phrase. I might write a book on it at some point. But I think every writer does need a launch team, because our team has been, I can't think of any superlatives big enough to kind of.
I've been blown away by it, as you know, just the commitment, attention to detail, the enthusiasm. It's all above and beyond the call of duty, and it's turned a cynical old git like me into quite a bit of a softie. So yeah,
absolutely. So thank you to everyone for that. And Mark, I believe it's time probably to wrap up. What do you think? Should we let these good people go and do their breakfast, dinner, or lunch, depending on where they are?
Gavin has just come up with the bestseller experiment on ice, so I think we draw the line there.
It's time.
I can feel my brain leaking out of my ears.
Although seeing you dressed up in the dazzling sequin, Mark, I think I would pay to see that.
Yeah,
but I certainly won't be your partner.
You would have to pay to see that.
I wouldn't be your partner, because I cannot dance. And honestly, I couldn't, if you did put on a sequin, I wouldn't be able to compete. So sorry, Gavin, I don't think that's going to happen, but brilliant, guys. This has been a fantastic experience. Thank you for joining us on this live podcast today. If you're listening to this on the podcast in the future, we hope you found this fun. Don't forget, the Vault of Gold is still available for a limited time only. It's how many pages? 500.
It's 500 pages. It's an EPUB, so depending what way you watch it or whatever. But it's 140,000 words, which is it's about 50,000 words longer than the book, the novel.
Yes. So go grab it, guys. You go to the website bestsellerexperiment.com, click on free.
It's 500. Book. David says it's 501 pages. Thank you.
501 pages. That's insanity. But thank you again, everyone. We really appreciate it. If you haven't bought the book, remember it's bestsellerexperiment.com/back to reality. If you've given us a review, thank you so much. If you're planning to do a review, thank you so much in advance. And do pop along to our Facebook page, our Twitter page, which is Bestseller Experiment. Bestseller XP. I'll get that right one day. About 10 years from now. And tell us what you think, and spread the love a bit. If you could share, and I'm going to put a big ask out right now, because this could help keep the book going, maybe get it further up the charts. If you are able to share the book launch and the book itself, maybe even your review with your social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, etc., maybe even stick it on your mailing list to your friends, that would make the most incredible difference. We've worked out the statistics. It could go from a few hundred people doing that, which could reach over 30 to 40,000 people. And of course, let us know what you do, because we actually have a very interesting competition that we're offering to people that do the most original and the best shares of the book. So pop along to the Facebook page to read more about that shortly. But there's some incredible things we're going to be giving away to the people that we've had the most fun reading about with what they've done. So, Mr. Stay, is there anything else you would like to say before we head off?
No, just a huge thank you as always. I'm now going to get on a slow train to Kent, to the bosom of my family. My son has been doing food tech today, and he's made basically jammy dodgers, so I've got that to look forward to. And then I'm going to take some pills and have a lie down.
Good man. Just not the wrong kind of pills, Mark. That would be a
couple of aspirin.
Yeah. Although that would be quite good PR, actually.
No.
Sorry, I'm just joking.
The Kurt Cobain of indie publishing. Look, we better stop now before we slander someone.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being on this live show with us as well. Thank you for all of your comments.
I liked this, by the way. This is fun.
I do.
I think we should maybe do this once a month or something. We
might do this once a month. Well, look out on the website for more information about what we may or may not be doing. And remember, join me again with Shannon sitting right here next to me at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST, and 2 a.m. Nighthawk ST in Europe and the UK. In fact, in Europe, it will be 3 a.m. Maybe we'll have some more news about chart-topping genres. Who knows? Let's see if we can push Neil, Mr. Gaiman, off his #1 spot there.
Come on, America. Come on, America.
Come on.
Come on. We believe in you, America. Come on.
Brilliant. Mark, have a great, safe journey home. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for these just brilliant, fantastic day. I hope the come down isn't too hard for you. Feels like the end of a theatre production, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I'll probably get the flu or something.
Oh, there you go. Law of attraction. Law of attraction. Come on, use it. We said we'd get a bestseller. It's happened. You've got to be like, come on, get the immune system kicking in. So anyway, thank you so much, everyone. And it's a goodbye from Mark 1.
That's goodbye from Mark 2. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. I can wave and they can actually see me.
You can actually wave. He does this every time. He always waves and there's never anyone there. So he can really wave.
Waving doesn't really work.
Cheers.